Today we'll be starting the dad's collection, and so what I'll be using is a brush, a pintail comb, thread, clips, a needle, wooden spatulas, Nair, a seam ripper, scissors and pins. Okay, so I'm using the seam ripper just to take apart the wefts of hair from the cap. So I'll just show you with one of these pieces. And as you can see, I'm just going in between the threads that I put before and just ripping them with the seam ripper, just so I can detach it from the old wig cap to attach to the new one. Then after that's done, what I've really got into recently is I don't actually like to use the weft as it is. As you can see, it's a double weft. What I like to do is I like to take the threads out, is I like to split this up. So again, with the seam ripper, you're going in between the two wefts and just opening up. And then with your fingers, then you'll be able to start to see the seams in the weft. You see that one? Then you just pop that out with the seam ripper. So again, what we're doing is we're splitting this weft, which is a double weft, into two single wefts. Okay, and when you get to the end, I'm just going to finish this out. Again, just want to make sure that you're cutting all the threads, and then you just take the two pieces and separate them. So now you have two thinner pieces. So pinning down my frontal to the mannequin head, I then section out where I want the hairline to be, and using the wooden sticks, I'm applying Nair onto the sections which I don't want anymore, and I'm saturating them. But as you can see, I got a little bit impatient, and because of that, that's the reason why I'm tagging on it a couple of times. But I got this idea to do Nair from the hair diagram, so check out her videos because they are really good. So after washing, this is the hairline that we are left with, which has a really nice awkward widow's peak, and all of this is going to get cut away. So I take my weaving cap and I apply it onto the head, and I've washed and conditioned this hair so it's ready to go. So I just start by pinning down each weft and sewing along, and then after I've done about 4 or 5 tracks, I then realize I was actually supposed to sew down the closure first. And so that's why you actually see me stop and sew the closure onto the front of the head. But as we say in show business, the show must go on. So right now I'm adjusting the closure to where I want the front of the hairline to sit. And what I do is I sew from the middle all the way to the outside. And I do the same for the other side, but instead of sewing from the middle, I sew from just over the middle through to the other side. And I learnt this trick from Slayed by Jordan, who's another YouTuber that you should all be checking out because his wigs are amazing. So I then move back onto the back because once the closure's in, it's in. And I continue to sew the wefts all the way in a horizontal motion until I get to the top, and then I sew them across. Honestly, I got this idea because I was bleaching the knots in the closure and I was too aggressive with it, so I ended up ripping half the hairs in the front. So I thought, that's collection. So when I started man wigs, what I used to do with my wigs was I used to cut them into smaller pieces rather than sew them as full-on tracks. and I did this because I thought that if the pieces moved individually then it would look more natural. But what I found was, even though it did look very natural, it just made making wigs complicated. It just took so much more time than it needed to, and actually the difference wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be. I actually found that I preferred splitting the tracks because I found that that gave a more natural look rather than making so many pieces. But you live and you learn, and that's the whole point of doing this, is so that I can continue to grow as much as possible with man wigs. So I'm now just sewing some hair right alongside the frontal so I can keep that out of the way, so everything will always lay flat from the frontal backwards. Okay, and now that that's done, on to the next step. So now that we've finished the wig, what we're just going to do is we're just going to cut off so that there's no pocket, so that when we lay this on the head, it looks nice and neat. Got a nice receding hairline. In case you couldn't hear me, I was just complimenting the recession of the hairline because I'm just loving the way it's sitting right now. So far back, you know, 4 head, nah, 5 head, forget about it. This guy's got 10 head. Woo, the final result. That's right. He's that dad, also known as Earl, and he refuses to accept that his hairline is going. So he looks crazy when he picks up his kids from school. But does he care? Never.